Well, hello world. Yes, it's me again, here on this very hot and humid Friday, March 20. In my shed office, it's around 36 degrees here, and it's about 31 degrees under the awning at the rear of the house, and humidity's up to 70%. The sky is as clear as a bell, and the sun has got a real bite to it. The forecast is that there will be a southerly change coming through, a cool change. So that's something to look forward to, but I won't hold my breath. Anyhow, once again, cyberbullying has come to the fore, and I'd just like to tell you of a little story. Now, I'm with Facebook. I have been for a number of years. Now, I had a young bloke or a couple of young blokes. It was last year. Comment really nastily on a post, and they started to turn to it what they thought it would be bullying of me, but it turned out it backfired on them because I'm a mature man, and I was able to handle it, and I handled it very well. But it was then that I decided to start up and dedicate a Facebook page as a petition against bullying, abuse, and harassment. BAH, BAH for short. It was a petition where I asked fellow Facebookers to give a like as their signature. And once I was hoping I would be able to get thousands, if not tens of thousands of likes, and I would present it to Facebook. Well, that page was active for several months. And about around the time I started that petition page, there was another group, ban the fur trade, or save the furry animals, and this sort of thing came on. And their avatar was a fox. Now, I don't know if folks in America or overseas feel different about fox, but here in Australia, they're just a pest. They're a feral pest. And yet they were using the fox as an avatar. And they accumulated over 250,000 likes. And that spoke volumes to me. That said to me that people cared more about little furry animals than they did about kids, perhaps their own children. Perhaps they just fobbed off this bullying on cyberspace. I was absolutely disgusted, totally disgusted. And I spent money boosting these posts too to get more likes, more signatures for the petition. But after 4 months, it was painfully obvious that wasn't going to happen. So disgusted, I gave up on the page. In fact, I'm thinking of giving up on Facebook altogether. Now, I did have an author page, and I had close to 500 likes on it, but I deleted that a couple of months ago. And because my profile page is under my name, I thought, as my author page was, I thought it would have been deleted also, but it wasn't. So I decided to leave well enough alone. Anyhow, I'm going to get rid of this Google headband. There we go. And yes, thank you. So yes, now Facebook. I've got a so-called friends on Facebook. There's only a couple that are what I'd call special friends, and I mentioned this before that every time I upload a new video to YouTube, I share on Facebook. Of course, it gets shared on Twitter, and it gets on Google+, and I share on Tumblr as well. But it's got to the point now that I receive no views whatsoever, none whatsoever, and I know I'm wasting my time. And if it wasn't for one particular friend, I would not share my videos on Facebook again. In fact, this one particular friend has been conspicuous by her absence of late. Now, I know she had been ill. I did notice she had posted on Facebook the other day, but she hadn't seen any of my uploads, and I'm thinking, well, what's the point? Here I am, I'm considering her, even though she subscribed to my YouTube channel, and she's not viewing my videos. So it's almost convinced me that I should just not share my videos with Facebook anymore. In fact, I rarely post at all on Facebook. Facebook is wearing very thin on me. But yeah, don't you think that's something of a tragedy? That over 250 million likes for this ban the fur trade, and yet I get a miserly 33 likes for a petition against bullying, abuse, and harassment. That spoke volumes. As I said, that spoke volumes to me, absolute volumes. Just to me, that people just don't care about their kids. I know that's not true, but it seemed that way to me. The result of that little foray with that Facebook page. Anyhow, I noticed on Facebook, I think it was yesterday, that it's the 75th anniversary of Bruce Lee's birth. Now, I am and have always been a big Bruce Lee fan, and I consider myself privileged to have grown up in a time when Bruce Lee was in his infancy as far as his starring roles, which began on television. Because I remember him in The Green Hornet, and even then I was amazed at his dexterity, his abilities. And then after The Green Hornet finished, he starred in a few episodes of a television series called Longstreet. And I think that starred James Franciscus. I think he was a young lawyer who suddenly became blind, and he was getting harassed. And Bruce Lee came in on the show to teach him how to defend himself. And if I wasn't a fan of Bruce Lee then, which I was even a bigger fan of him. And of course, I think it was a year or two later that there were talks of the television series Kung Fu. And Bruce Lee was originally planned to be the star of that show. Now, I got nothing against David Carradine, who did star in the show, but he wasn't Bruce Lee. I just think how different the show might have been with Bruce Lee in it. But then, of course, Bruce Lee went on to bigger and better things. He went on to make movies, Fist of Fury, Enter the Dragon, and others as well. And but then in 1973, he was tragically taken from us. I was shocked when I saw the headlines. And even to this day, there's conspiracy theories about his death. Commonly, it's thought that he'd taken a couple of aspirin tablets because he'd had a headache and he went up and lay down. But it was because the aspirin had allergic reaction, maybe. But other purported ideas were that he had an aneurysm. And I mean, it was a great tragedy to lose such a skilled individual, such a fantastic individual, such a true individual. You know, I think he was solely responsible for young people like myself, getting interested in the martial arts. And I did. I did get interested in the martial arts in my teens, and I did learn karate. I went through the toughening stage and what have you. But then it began to wear a bit thin. But such is youth. Right. Now, an update on my chronograph. Here it is, March 20th. It was promised for March 17th, and I still haven't received it. I don't know what's holding it up. I do know that it had arrived in Sydney on Tuesday, so I don't know why it's taken nearly 4 days to get here to Coffs Harbour. Don't understand what's going on at all. Yes. Anyhow, just excuse me a sec. I'm going to have a sip of tea. The cup's nearly empty, but isn't that always the way? Someone commented on yesterday's upload, my live stream. A chap who goes under the name of Vic Shooter. It's his YouTube channel name. And he asked me if I was going to make any more videos about my air rifles. And I was pleased to tell him that I will be uploading another video or two. But I'm waiting for the chronograph to arrive because I want to chronograph the two air rifles I have, a Jakarta Model 35 in 177 caliber and the Jakarta Model 25 in 22 caliber. I just want to see what muzzle velocities they have. And then after I weigh the pellets, I'll be able to calculate the muzzle energy. And I've always been interested in such things. I've been, since my early teens, I've had a fascination for weapons and warfare and firearms in general. And I've always wanted to chronograph my 243 because I bought my 243 in 1965. And that was a year before decimal currency came out here in Australia. And it cost me £47, 10 shillings. Well, that's the equivalent of $95 today. You certainly wouldn't buy it for $95 in this day and age. It's English made, Churchill, and it's built on the Mauser 98 action. And when memory serves me correct, the 243 was introduced by Winchester in 1956. And at the time, Winchester Ballistics stated that the 80 grain pointed soft point bullet had a muzzle velocity of 3,300 feet per second. Well, I've always been dubious about that because I had seen reports in shooting magazines I used to buy at the time that it wasn't anywhere near that. And I've always wanted to chronograph it, but for some reason I never get around to buying a chronograph. But now I have, and when I go bush come the winter, and I visit my cousin's property and my other friend's property, well, I can bang away with absolute impunity there and test all the rifles I have, the 30-30 as well, and 22 and what have you, just to actually see what muzzle velocity I'm getting from my own particular rifles. And I will upload videos on those. I can do the air rifles. I can test the air rifles in the backyard here with a suitable backdrop near my shed, because they barely make any noise. But if I had to go out there for 243, I can imagine what would happen. I'd have the SWAT team bloody swarming my place, and there'd be a helicopter hovering up above. Put the weapon down. Put the weapon down. Oh God! But well. So, and of course, the consequence of that would be that I would lose all my firearms and my shooter's license. And to lose my firearms would be devastating for me. It really would, because they are my most prized possessions. They really are. Like inanimate. See, here I go. Anyhow, they are my most prized possessions, inanimate possessions. Because my wife and two sons are my most prized by me, of course. Now the wind just started to crop up here a bit, so maybe that's a prelude to the southerly change coming. But I tell you what, it is hot. No, the temperature hasn't dropped at all here in the shed. It's still 35 degrees. Perhaps the humidity has dropped a bit because I'm not sweating as much today as it was yesterday. Maybe that's because I'm feeling a little bit better. I don't know. And again, I didn't have time to make notes because this morning I was up a bit earlier. This morning I got up around 9 o'clock because I had to take my wife to go and pick up her aunt who lives in a nearby nursing home and to take her to her heart specialist and for I don't know 6-monthly checkup, and they do a blood test and whatever, check her for blood sugar and so on and so forth. And the good news is that she's nearing 90 in a few months, and she's hale and hearty. She's doing very well. Oh, she's a little frail for her age, but you expect that at 90 years of age. I think, in fact, she's probably doing better than me. I tell you what, my friends. I'm really finding things tough of late. I really am. I had to get around to finish off the little metal sculpture that I'd done for my wife, the petrol pump. I gave it a coat of paint, then I ran out of paint to finish it off. So we were supposed to go to our local budding store today to buy some more paint, but just too damn hot, and I couldn't be bothered. And of course, the grass and my front and back lawns is ankle high and desperate need of a mow, but it's just too damn hot to be doing that, I can tell you. I might get around to late this afternoon if that southerly comes through and gets stuck in it, but really, I haven't got the motivation to do it anymore. I've even been thinking about getting someone else in to do it. Oh dear. And I've even been having second thoughts about going away because it's really getting harder and harder for me to do things these days. But I don't want to lay down and just die. I don't want to do that, so I've got to really push myself to do things these days, and I eventually do them. And but because I take so much stuff away with me, and you have to. I mean, I go away for 3 months, and if I don't take it with me, well, I haven't got it, and I can't use it if I want it. I know it sounds a bit of an oxymoron, but that's the truth nonetheless. So this year I'm taking a box trailer away with me. We got a box trailer in the yard. not used that often. And I did build a small canopy for it, or cover for it. And now I'm going to have to resurrect it a bit, make it a little bit higher, because I'm buying another refrigerator. I've had a three-way refrigerator now for the past 3 years. And it's a terrific unit. It works off 12 volt, 240, and gas. But the problem is with it is that you've got to take gas bottles away, and when I pull up for the night, I've got to take it out of the vehicle, out of the cigarette lighter, disconnect it, and then put it outside and hook up the gas. And it's a real pain in the bum. It really is. Because after driving 400 kilometers or so, all I want to do is just relax a bit. But no, I've got to take it out because I know that I can't leave it hooked up to the cigarette lighter because it'll flatten the battery on the vehicle. And so I decided that maybe it's time I bought one of these 12 volt, 24 volt, 240 volt fridge freezers. And I noticed that here in BFC, Boating, Fishing and Camping, they've got one on special, $400 off for club members, which I am. And it's $6.99, and it's a 60-litre fridge freezer. And I'm thinking that might just suit me right down to the ground. And if I can hook up probably a 90-watt solar panel wouldn't be enough. I'd probably have to go 120 watts. I don't know, but I'll have to seek advice on that. And that's what I'm thinking of doing. I can put the refrigerator in the front of the trailer, and I can make up some sort of stand or support to put a solar panel or a couple of solar panels. Get a couple of backup batteries, a system that will the solar panel will in turn charge the batteries will run the refrigerator, and I won't have to worry about gas. So that's what I'm thinking of doing, and there's every chance I will do that. And also the advantage of taking the trailer is that I can put a bracket on the A-frame, reinforce the A-frame, and put on my 4 25-litre water containers, because 25 litres of water weighs about 60 pounds. Now, once upon a time, to me, lifting 60 pound, 120 pound, 180 pound even, or even more, it wasn't really a problem for me. I used to be able to bench press 300 pound, but I'd be lucky to bench press the bar these days. Yeah, you think that's a good one? Yeah. So yes, but the reason I decided. I was originally thinking about taking the fold-out camper unit. I got it back on my 4-wheel drive. The reason I did that was because I thought I needed a really compact unit, because there's some areas I go to in inland rivers that can be very tight, and I didn't want the hassle of pulling a trailer, because sometimes you come to a dead end, and then you got to reverse out, and it can take a lot of time, and I didn't really want to be bothered with that. But now I've got my areas picked out, and all the areas I go to, I can get to an easy pulling a trailer. So I decided to put the trailer up and take it away. And that way it makes it a lot easier for me. And as I said, when you get older, you got to do things smarter and easier. I was thinking of taking the unit off, the fold-out unit on the 4-wheel drive, and putting it on the trailer, but I decided against that. Because if I have a fridge freezer, I can have more frozen food. Normally what I do is when I go away, I get half a dozen T-bone steaks and some sausages, and I just freeze them here at home and bung them in the fridge, and they'll last for a couple of weeks frozen once the gas is hooked up. But I'd also like to be able to take away frozen vegetables and other convenience foods that don't last very long in the refrigerator. You might buy them from the cool room section, the refrigerated section in your supermarket, but you really only can have them for a couple of days. Otherwise, they probably get a bit iffy. So yeah, I'm really thinking about doing that. But other than that, really, there's not much been happening because, as I said, just been too damn hot to be doing anything. My wife, she was absolutely snookered after she did the garden yesterday. That was only the back garden. She had planned to get out and do the front garden as well, but it was just too damn hot. And I said, look, dear, don't do it. It's just too hot to be out there doing this. Wait till it cools down. Anyhow, she decided to do that and went in, had an early shower, and just went into her office in the house. See, she has her office in the house. I have my office here in my shed. So we sort of both have our own little fortress of solitude, which is a good thing. See, I spend more time in my shed office than I do in the house. See, sometimes my wife and I will sit down and watch the local news. But more often than not, I watch the news down here on the little television I got, and I'm not a great big television watcher. There are a couple of shows I do like to watch, but anyhow, I watch the news down here, then a current affair, and she just goes and watch whatever TV show she wants in her office. And once she's finished watching TV or watching a movie, she'll get onto her laptop or desktop computer and she'll do whatever she wants to do. And you can do that sort of thing when you've been married as long as we have, 40 years, because we're the best of mates, and we don't have to hang around each other like newlyweds. We don't have to do that anymore. We're very comfortable with each other. And she doesn't mind at all me being isolating myself down here in my shed office, just popping up in the house to get a sandwich or a cup of tea or whatever. It suits her as it suits me. Yeah. Now, what was it? Oh, yeah, television shows. Now, there's one television show in Australia here that I really like. It's called MKR, My Kitchen Rules. And I don't know what it is, why I like the show so much, but I do. I like to see the contestants competing against each other. It starts off with them having up a home restaurant up there, and they set up these areas, their so-called home restaurant, and they cook, and all the other contestants come, and they score them on the meal, and the two hosts, Manu and Pete, they give their scores as well, and then after that piece is over, that section is over, then they go into the trials and tribulations of outdoor cooking and like cooking in a pub, to be a chef in a pub. You're getting a taste for what it's like to be a chef. And then they go back into the My Kitchen Rule main kitchen area. I just love the show. The only trouble with the show is that there's a couple of things really bug me. And one is the use of the word perfect. So all the contestants are going on, it has to be perfect. Perfect. If I've heard the word perfect once, I've heard it 10,000 times. And it really begins to aggravate me. And it's the same with people calling each other babe. Oh, it's all right, babe. It'll be fine, babe. Babe this, babe that. Ooh, God. Yeah, I don't like it. I've written 5 books and I've never used that word babe in any of my books. I've never called my wife babe in the 40 years we've been married, and I never called her babe in the 2 or 3 years we were going together before we got married. Babe or baby. I don't like it. To each their own, of course, but it really aggravates me. Especially when you see it's in a television show and it's happening all the time. Babe, babe, baby, babe, perfect, perfect, perfect. Because to my mind, there is no such thing as perfection. I suppose they use the word as something that's really good. But, there's no such thing as perfection. Even in nature, there is no such thing as perfection. There's always a slight nuance of difference. But anyhow, to each their own. Well, look, I said in my description that I was going to say what I said, the issues I addressed. I can say that Tropical Cyclone Nathan has hit land on the far Queensland North Coast, the Cape Country. But it's been downgraded. It's probably just a tropical low now. It'll be dropping a lot of rain. There'll be some wind, and it's moving across the land from what the weather forecast says, and it will go into the Gulf of Carpentaria, where it will probably form into a cyclone again. And who knows what it will do then? Maybe it might come back. I don't know, and I don't think the weather forecasters really know either. These things are a law unto themselves, and things are still not going well in Vanuatu. There was more news last night, and I really feel sorry for all those folks. I mean, I really do. See the devastation that there's been. I think around about 30 odd killed. Even the loss of one life or something like that's tragic. And all these folk, tens of thousands of people, they've lost their homes, they've lost their livelihoods. They're even running out of fresh water. I don't know what they're doing for food. They're probably scrounging around for. People shouldn't have to live like this. But of course, Australia's going over there. They're sending food aid over. They're sending troops over. They're sending volunteers over. So, we have come to the fore once again. There'll be other countries come to the fore as well. I have no doubt about it. The world really sympathises, empathises with countries that go for this sort of thing. They really, basically people are damn good, real damn good folk. We all too often hear about the arseholes in if you'll pardon my French, but because they make news, you know, good things happening. You know, it's not big news items, but on the whole, I think folk worldwide are pretty decent people, honest, hardworking, and Vanuatu will pull itself out of the mire and get back on its feet eventually. I mean, it took a long time to put Darwin back up and running again after the Cyclone Tracy hit in 1974. It took a long time. It took years. And even with the floods that we have here in Australia, it takes months, if not years, before areas get back on their feet again and everything as it was, only to wait till the next flood comes. And it happens with monotonous regularity. You know, it happened up in Queensland a couple of years ago, where they had a flood went through a lot of houses, and after they'd got them all cleaned out, it was only a matter of a few months later when the house was flooded again. I mean, how devastating that must be to folk for that to happen. You know, one flood's bad enough. You know, when we get torrential rain here, you know, and the water starts backing up in the backyard, and I've got to clear out the drains, and down the side of the house I've got to start the pump, I really think, oh God, I hate the house to flood out. It would really send me in the depths of despair. And my wife too. She'd be absolutely devastated. So I really feel for these people. I really do. Same when we have the bushfires here in Australia. We have some disastrous bushfires, but they do, you know, I often see the same in California and in other states of the US as well, and other countries as well. Nature. You know, it's a law unto itself, and there's nothing you can do about it except grin and bear it, and then clean up the mess afterwards. I often think that if some warring nation had found a way to control the weather, well, they could devastate the world. Just think about it. You just think about what you could do if you could control the weather. Anyhow, my friends, look, I'm going to call it quits. I'm going to go and get something to eat. I'm feeling a little bit hungry, and I'll be taking the weekend off, but I should be back on Monday, and maybe by then I will have my chronograph. And although I'm not holding my breath because it just seems to be taking so long. What can I do? Nothing. Okay, look, if you've been watching, I sincerely thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. And until next Monday, which will be the 23rd. Yeah, oh, it's my youngest son's birthday on Sunday. Anyhow, thanks again for watching, and bye for now.